So I come from an organization where people are privileged if they go home when they want to go home. I come from an organization where promotions do not come in emails. I come from an organization where kids are absolutely used to celebrating their birthdays without their fathers. I come from an organization where the wives are absolutely fine to celebrate their anniversary without their husbands. I come from an organization जहाँ पे चांद कभी बॉर्डर पे निकलता है करवा चौथ का और कभी जल्दी निकलता है. Ladies and gentlemen, I come from an organization where mistakes cannot be corrected in next quarter, where mistakes are not calculated on Excel sheets, where mistakes cannot be planned to be taken care of in the next 6 months or a year's time, because the mistake means that people will go back home wrapped in tricolor. So we are on 6th Sigma. Here I am, Captain Dharmveer, and over a period of time, whatever it took for me to become who I am today, I have taken certain anecdotes from my life to suit the theme of today's TED Talk. Let's start with my journey when I was in class 12, and I'm pretty sure all you young students would be able to resonate with my thoughts. I started preparing for my medicals, not because I always wanted to do my medicals, but it is something that my parents decided for me because I scored 92 marks in my bio. It was very easy in our times for parents to decide for you, and you never had a choice to decide what you want to do in life. The life was going on. I was a fairly decent student, and about 4 months when it was just about, I was about to write my exams, I thought I should visit one of my cousins who was doing his PG from KGMU, King George's Medical College, Lucknow. I reached out to him and he took almost 5 minutes to open the door. A lot of thoughts as a 17-year-old went into my head. And eventually when he opened the door, I asked him, what is it that, took you 5 minutes? He showed me thick books and he said, if you are ready to spend 5 to 10 years studying before you get on to mainstream practice, this is the space. So I'm talking about 97 when the medical field was not very corporatized, right? Like in today's time where you have 9 to 5 kind of a medical practice job. And he made a statement that वकालत और डॉक्टरी अगर विरासत में नहीं हो तो करना, वरना कुछ और कर लो. I think that day I decided what path I do not want to take in my life. It was absolutely clear that I may want to do anything, but I don't want to become a doctor. And so that is where, all of a sudden something that was going on for a very long time ended. Something that I had planned for a very long time ended. And something new came to my mind. I do not come from a very, very privileged background. So if I was to move to Delhi to do my preparation for UPSC, that is what I wanted to do at that point in time, I had to move to a college where the hostel facilities were really, really strong. And that college for me at that point in time was JNU. That is what I identified. I remember I was studying with my brother and we typically had a room where we would cook and do everything. I couldn't summon the courage to tell my brother that I'm not going to prepare for my CPMT anymore. I rented a room which was 450 rupees. So you can imagine the length and width of that room. I mean, to reach the other side of the room, I had to literally cross my bed, which was on the floor. This journey was not easy. I was in Allahabad and cooler was also not available to us because I remember there have been nights when I had sprinkled water on the ground to make the floor little better. And it all resulted in an All India 15 rank JNU entrance. And that gave me a belief that if you work hard for something, that was a kind of my own introduction to my capabilities, because that was the first exam which was kind of an exam entrance where I was tested. So this was first example, and it is very, very important in my overall life scheme that I reached Delhi, I reached JNU, because a lot of things changed after that. Coming to the second story, cut to 1999. I was dating a girl who was 3.5 years elder to me. And saying that you always fall in love, I came to Delhi from Allahabad, Gorakhpur, and you always fall in love, Nobody ever evolves in love. Third year of college, the girl I was dating was 3.5 years elder to me. She finished her post-graduation from NIFT. Everything was very nice. My father has, out of the security reasons that I portrayed, that driving in Delhi is not very safe. So riding was not safe. So I need a car. Not a very jazzy, but I had a second-hand car in my last year of college. So everything was going fine. We were meeting, college, friends. And all of a sudden she came and she was like, my parents are looking for me to get married. I was all of 19 or 20. But I wanted to reciprocate to whatever courtship we had for, 3-4 years. Don't think too hard. She is now mother to both my kids. She is my wife. So I didn't know how to reach out to my parents. Okay. And of course, my in-laws also. Everyone quite literate, well-to-do, both families. Brother-in-law was an IPS officer. My sister-in-law was married to a PCS officer in Lucknow. And I was doing nothing. I was a third-year student of JNU, Japanese honors. And I reached out to my parents. And in my entire life, that's the only instance when my father used a foul language. Not abused me, but he definitely was absolutely not pleased with this thing of mine. I reached out to my in-laws. To my luck, I was not beaten up. I was reciprocated very nicely, and everybody accepted that, you have a career, you can do well in life, but this is too early for you. Both of us, we convinced that we do not have any plans of running away or doing anything which may bring disgrace to any of the families. Give me some time. I came back to campus, and I remember those 4 months. I would hardly go to my mess. I started following a routine which was 180 degrees to what everybody else was following, just to save time. I never wanted to face anyone. I never wanted to see anyone because that would kill my time. I would not go to mess because that was time taking. So I would order for tea in my room with Parle-G biscuits. Literally Parle-G and chai was my, at least out of 5 meals, 3 meals were chai and Parle-G. And those 4 months, I remember nothing. All the tires of my car, they got flattened. Don't remember anything. I went for my written. I cleared my written. I went for my SSB. 5 days, people have a lot of stories to tell people that, this happened, that happened in my SSB. But I think this whole process was so much into me that I remember nothing of my SSBs, just that I wanted it. And I was going through that process of realizing what I am, who I am, and what will eventually come out of it. And in 5 days' time, I had a plus sign on my chest, which means I was recommended. 2 days of medicals. And with God's grace, no temporary rejection, nothing. Someone who had not even thought of getting into defense forces, was a class 1 grade A officer in 7 to 9 months' time. After that, my training was scheduled in another 3 months' time. So this was the second milestone of my life where things changed. Third is coming out of the defense forces. After 5 years of our tenure in defense, 2006, we got blessed with twins. Okay, so 5 years of lovely time in defense. And all of a sudden, I think I would want to narrate one story before that, which totally changed me, which I am living today. So this is 2005, February 5th. By then, I had spent almost 3 years in my unit. And I was to replace an officer who was sitting on a top position in a high altitude location. The area was Gurez. If you Google, you will figure out that 2005, Jammu and Kashmir, they received unprecedented snowfall. And I was to replace an officer because there was some emergency at that place. I started my journey with 4 of my men. We reached a spot which was supposed to be the maintenance post. So in defense forces, when there are 2 posts which are apart, maybe 10, 12 kilometers, 15 kilometers. You do not, in those days, we never had a communication way of, electronic communication way was not there. So there's something called 5 Bravo where you lay wire to communicate to the other person. You ring it by hand and you talk to people. So there's a maintenance post that was established. I reached there and it started snowing. A couple of days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Since it started on 5th of February, 9th February was my birthday. I remember that people from my home, they would have tried reaching out to me in the regiment headquarters because it was possible for them to reach out to regiment headquarters. And they were conveyed that your son is fine somewhere because till then the wired communication was working. It turned out to be 10 days, 12 days, 15 days, and the snowfall was so heavy that over a period of time, with its own weight, the wires got broken. And since the snowfall was continuous, there was no maintenance party which could have been sent from either of the side to join that wire. Now we started living on radio set communication, but at the same time, the battery of the radio set was also limited. Okay? And it turned out to be 15 days, 17 days, 19 days. Typically in high altitude areas, the army would create your bases in a space where the trajectory of the enemy artillery shell doesn't reach. Basic science, right? So you would always be tucked into very, very close to a mountain. But since it's continued to snow for 18 days, that area became prone to avalanche. There was so much of snow on the top. And we moved from that small space to RP gate, which was nothing but a small sentry post. It was so small that one person moved and everybody else would wake up. The snow was so much. Long story cut short, after 39 days, we reached on the top and we communicated with everyone who was there in our lives. But it gave us hope. Those 39 days, the moment I feel low in my life, the moment I feel what would happen after 10 days, 15 days, 6 months, 2 years time, I think that one episode gives me hope in my life that you will come out of it. There is a better tomorrow. And all you need to do is don't spoil your today. At this moment, when you are living, give your 100%. Coming to the last anecdote, which was coming out of the defense forces, 2006, I got blessed with twins, and suddenly the family became too much, literally. And my wife was a postgraduate from MIT, and we realized that probably we want to lead a different life to be able to do justice to everybody in the family. It was not just my career, and I never wanted my wife to be destined to be an army officer's wife who was equally ambitious at one point in time when she was studying. And we made this call. We came out. I went to Narsing Munji. I did my executive from there. And it was just about 4 months, 5 months of my job, and suddenly I get a call on my desk. Okay. And this person was, he said, I am Sunil Shetty and I'm calling from Endemol Production. I always had this thing that I'm in Bombay. What is audition? You know, everybody goes to Bombay and they call it Maya Nagari. So I went for that audition. They never disclosed anything. They were supposed to launch a new channel. Eventually that channel turned out to be Colors, and the show that they wanted to audition me was for Khatron Ke Khiladi Season 1. A guy took me on the rooftop and he asked me certain questions. I am from Gorakhpur, then I went to Allahabad, then I came to JNU. तो मेरी हिंदी पे मेरा इतना कमांड है कि अगर मैं कोई सेंटेंस गलत शुरू करूं तो उसको खत्म करते करते उसका व्याकरण सही कर दूंगा. because all my life I've only been surrounded by Hindi speaking people. And उस दिन मुझे पता चला कि what is nothing to lose, because I had just gone there to feel what an audition is. He asked questions and I replied to him, and when I came down, he said, "Sir, आप जरूर जाओ, जितना पैसा मांगना होगा मांग लेना." I did not pay much attention to him. Ladies and gentlemen, I went back to my office. I was working for Tata's, and 1 month down the line, I received an envelope, that Sarkari envelope, and it had a signing amount of 8 lakh rupees, and I had to fill my daily remuneration there. When I went for my negotiations with them, it was agreed upon at 50,000 rupees per day. My last army salary in 2007 July was 18,000, out of which 11,000 rupees hit my bank. 2008 April, when I signed this contract, I was worth 15 lakh rupees a month. Ladies and gentlemen, that gave me wing. That gave me an understanding that you are not meant for normal things. That gave me a belief that something which you've never trained for, something that you've never tried in your life, something that you never went and attended any class for, is what you are born with. The point that I'm trying to make here out of all these 4 stories is that life is 10% of what you plan and 90% what happens. ज़्यादा सोचने का नहीं, सोच से फैसले कमजोर होते हैं.